That's it, I've had it. If it's not your body, it's not your juice. Today, Bitcoin breaking back above $9,000 for the first time since February 26th. But is this the last time that Bitcoin will go below $9,000? Or, as we talked about yesterday, is there still some targets that need to be fulfilled before we can truly reach Mega Blast Off? We have to talk about exactly why this pattern ended up breaking up and what are the targets if this continues to rise. Looking on the daily chart here, you can still see we're significantly, about $150, $200 away from the target that we've been mentioning for the past week and a half of this 50-day moving average here on the daily chart. And as well here on the weekly, like we talked about in yesterday's video, the last time Bitcoin came down to this line as well met with this 21 week moving average. It did have a mega bounce. Are we in for a similar mega bounce or is it different this time? So fill up your sippy cup, my juicers, and let's get juiced. Woohoo! Thank you guys so much for joining me here on March 5th for this Bitcoin update. Bitcoin as of today has broken back above 9K. However, there is a lot going on these charts. It's not as simple as that. There's so much going on. And really, is there still some more targets that we need to achieve, or are we in the clear and we're ready for 10K, 11K plus? Is that what's in the books? Or in fact, is there other things we have to take into account and take a look at? So if we want to get bullish, I definitely want to refer to the tweet here, guys. We have so many moving averages that we just would need to get above to really cement any sort of short-term bullishness. Huge. So we have to talk about that in this video. That is going to be the primary discussion is this 9K going to hold, or is this 9K just going to get pushed down like it has many times over the past few weeks? And guys, congratulations to yesterday's winner. If you did want to win this ledger, however, all you have to do is leave a comment below, and if you're new, make sure to leave a subscribe, like, turn on the dings, and let's do this. As well, you guys, thank you so much for everybody getting in on this course. This is huge. I'm very excited and proud of this, and we have so much more coming at the end of the week to be added to this course. This is only the first round, but the deal is if you pay once, you have it forever. And as well, still 50% off, guys. Not going to last much longer. Whoa, let's do this. So I actually want to start out on this chart, and before we do, I just want to say this again, guys. This is really such an important level. But I mean, the really key thing here is there's so many mixed opinions going on in the market right now. Based on this technical analysis itself, it looks as though Bitcoin should have bottomed. Now we have the halving coming up very soon. So just going off of that and just going off these solid technical indicators that we can see on the daily, 4-hour, 1-hour charts, it looks like Bitcoin needs to basically bottom here. And that's what we've been saying for weeks now. However, there are still some downside scenarios that we cannot take out of our minds, because if we did and we dropped below, 8,000 or something like that, people would be freaking out. So you just want to be aware of what these targets would be. And it would still remain healthy. Now, again, those targets don't include anything like 1,000 or 2,000 US dollars. That would be way too low. That would be insane. If that happened, everybody would be panicking. Nobody would have any idea. Again, I do not think that's going to happen at all. Even the most bearish people think we're still going to be attaining all-time highs by next year. Okay, so even incredibly bearish people still think, within the next 12, 16 months, we're going to be at all-time highs. So overall, the space is pretty bullish for the most part. Pretty much everyone, even the most bearish people, in the long term are still extremely bullish. What we're talking about here, though, is actually climbing and trying to retest 10, 11, 12, maybe even 14 and 20K going into the halving, and then maybe even shortly after the halving. So that's a much more short-term bullish outlook. And for that to happen, we need to hold where we're at currently on the weekly chart. Okay, so we have the 21-week moving average, absolutely vital. And as well, guys, the 50-week moving average, I'm highlighting it here so you can see where it's at. They're literally both at the same spot. They're both providing support for Bitcoin here. And again, the stock markets, everything was going down at the beginning of this week. Let me pull that up here, right here. In fact, it's not actually doing that good today, but Bitcoin's doing good. Okay, so we see maybe a little bit of a decoupling on the short term for at least today. I think that's a really good sign. Most importantly, though, this area, I think, held because there's so many technical reasons why it had to hold. Besides that, okay, so besides these two key weekly moving averages, which again, weekly moving averages are a lot more powerful than, for example, like a 4-hour moving average or a 1-hour or like even a daily moving average. Again, weekly moving averages are the most important, I think, for sure, and specifically the 21, but also the 50 is right exactly where the 21 is, so that just adds more support, in my opinion, to that exact area. So that just makes it all the more important there. And as well, we have the structural trend line that we've had on here. We've been talking about this for literally 6 months now. This pink line, Okay, this is absolutely huge. So that's exactly right there as well. And I actually want to transition to this other chart now. So this is a daily chart, and we've been talking about this. We've been putting our downside targets on this chart, really highlighting it on this chart. If we want to be short-term bullish though, and this is what we said about maybe like 5 or 6 days ago, we've been saying this for a little bit. I mean, it's also kind of obvious. Everybody's saying this because it's just the most obvious thing on the charts right now. Is on the daily chart, you want to get back above the 50-day moving average, this blue moving average right here. Now, again, to do that, you see there's quite a big amount of volume here on the VPVR. You can see below us, this was right around this like area where we did bounce, the 8.6, 8.5. You can see large amount of volume right there. We can see right here, this is the next highest amount. There's not much. I'm actually like tracing it here. You can see not much in this area here. But again, for this area, it really spikes out right here. So I can just highlight it so you guys can see this illustrated, the volume levels. So I just traced kind of where the high volume is on this white line so you can see it if you can't see it already. But basically, yeah, you can see right here, absolutely important. And again, that's right exactly where this 50-day moving average is. Now it's kind of gone up over the past few days. The moving average, you can see it's kind of been on its way up. Right now it's starting to level out. So over the next few weeks, depending on what Bitcoin does, it's going to change trajectory there. But right now that's so important. Again, I'll basically say this. I'm not going to get very short-term bullish unless we get a break and then a close or at least hold for a few days, maybe sideways action on this 50-day moving average. It's so important right now. I think that's the main thing we need to look at on the daily chart for sure. We also have some support right here, actually, right around the 92 as well. This horizontal support line, have this on here, and if we go back, you can see this was key here, actually, back in the run in the summer of 2019, and there's some past previous resistance that turned support levels right around that area as well. So again, that's just super important there. If we want to push up from where we are now, we're going to need to get above 92. I think this is great. We're currently at 91.30, it looks like, but another $100 would really cement this if we would be able to break above this. And potentially, if we did break above that, it might actually go a little bit higher, maybe like 94, 95 even, and then over the next day or two, come back to test that 92. And I think that would be crucial. And then if we did do that, and if we did bounce up, then we could actually start talking about, okay, where could this move actually be taking us, and what exactly could happen? And again, if we switch to this chart, you can see this very nicely. So you can see the same thing here, the 21-day and the 50-day right at the same spot on the daily chart. Okay, on the weekly, you saw the 21 and the 50 weekly charts. They were exactly the same, the 21 and 50-day weekly moving averages. But here you have the 21 and 50-day daily, okay, not weekly, daily moving averages, also basically in the same exact spot, right at that 92, high 9200s, it's like $92, $9300 level. So best case scenario to get bullish right now, break here, maybe even a little bit above it in that wick. You know, if there's a lot of momentum and a lot of exuberance for that run, again, maybe a few days go by, could come back, test this for support. And then if we could do that, I think that would be a lot healthier to head back up. And this by far is the most key level. I don't necessarily think we actually need to test 10.5 again to get really bullish. I think we'd only need to test 10.3 right here, okay, because of this sloping resistance line that we've had since the all-time highs of 20,000 US dollars. You guys can see that here. Here we go. I can circle the whole thing here for you. This line has been sloping resistance. We've actually touched it over 4 times now. Okay, we have it here. We had multiple touches here, and then again here, and then again just recently about a few weeks ago here. So again, that line I think is very important, and I don't think we would need to actually touch 10.5 again to get really bullish. We could have the breakout being confirmed a little above 10.3. So again, we wouldn't necessarily have to get back to where we got just a few weeks ago to get really bullish and to get excited for a breakout. I think that breakout could be confirmed if we would test this. Maybe if we had to come back, maybe test it for support. And again, that would be extremely bullish. This is more important, I think, than the 10.5 level itself. And I did want to talk about this too. This is really interesting. So this pattern here, the falling wedge that did break out. Now this has been going on for a few days, okay? So I talked about this a little in yesterday's video, this consolidating pattern between these moving averages. You can see this touched so many times here. 1, we came down here. 2, there was like 4 touches right there. But then 3, 4 for like multiple 4-hour candles. And then you saw it consolidate so much into this area, and it basically had to make a move. I was watching this last night. And I thought, you know what? This has just consolidated so much. Something's going to happen. I didn't necessarily know if it was going to be up or down, honestly. It's hard to tell sometimes, but again, this was a break up. And you can see where it's finding resistance right now is where it found some support for about 12 hours back on February 25th. And again, a lot of support back here on January 30th as we were making that climb to 10.5. So really important there, guys. Very interesting to watch. What do you think? Do you think this is going to be a run to 10K, or do you think we're still destined to maybe come back down to the low $8,000 range before we really get things kicked off? So guys, thanks so much for joining, and as well, thanks so much for joining the course, guys. So many great things. I'm so excited for everything else we're going to add to this. Been hearing back from a few people. They've definitely been enjoying it. And again, 50% off code Googert. It's just a 50% off code Googert.